The full spectrum.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of RollPlay Verona. This is episode number 16. We're going to do some space stuff, but before we do, let's warm up with the cast. Hi, everybody. Hello. How are you doing? Max, good to see
Hello,
you
Adam.
again. It's been a long time.
How
And
are
I
you?
want to start talking to you, Anne. Anne, did you play Life is Strange 2? You were talking about it last time.
I did.
Did you get to play it? How was it?
Yes. Good. I think I'm still kind of reserving judgment. I think there's ways that they tried to make it different from the first one, and I'm not sure if those are things that I necessarily like yet, but it's only the first episode, so I'm kind of feeling it out still. But so far, yeah, I liked it. I think kind of the same as like the first Life is Strange, where I was not really sold on it the first episode, and it took me a little bit to be like, oh, okay, this is actually really awesome. So I'm still just kind of waiting, I guess.
So it's broken up into episodes. How long was the first one?
About 3 hours.
Oh, okay. So like a good chunk.
Yeah, it's pretty significant.
Yeah, I like games like that. I like games that are broken up into like clear, obvious, like discrete units, like chapters or whatever like that. And you can kind of play them one at a time. It's the same way I read books. I like finish a chapter and be like, I'm done, cool. Or I'm gonna press on and do a whole nother one.
Right. And most video games are just like open world. You can play as long as you want, as long as you can survive. Like
play until you're bored.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, I like that too. I like the kind of episodic. I mean, I don't want all video games to be like that.
Yeah.
But especially with Telltale not being a thing anymore, then it's kind of cool to like still have a company that is pursuing that episodic type of thing when it makes sense, right? Like I think Hitman tried to do episodic one time and everyone was like, why are you doing this? This doesn't make sense. But it's cool for like more linear story games.
Yeah, I think so too. Yakuza does the chapter thing, and they go so far as to begin every chapter after a certain point with like previously on Yakuza and like lay out kind of everything that happened in the preceding chapters, which is really cool. Yeah. I like that because my memory is terrible. So if I play a game and then I wait like 4 days and I come back, I'm like, what was I doing? What was happening? I need a quest log. I need a mini map. I need all that shit. I'm getting old and easily confused. That's cool. What else you been up to? I saw that McDonald's sent you some presents.
Yeah, that was weird. I was like, oh, it's a box. And then I like a cardboard box and I opened it and I was like, oh, it's like a gift box. There's like a ribbon and everything. And then I opened it and it was like from McDonald's. Like the actual
Weird.
Yeah, and I was just like
hamburgers thing? Maybe.
I guess.
Someone at McDonald's Corp was like, she's great. Burgers are already in her branding. Let's go.
Yeah.
That's what Ronald McDonald sounds like, actually. That's a really good impression.
Give me a nice stogie.
Yeah.
You know, when he's not on screen.
Yeah. They sent me like an Uber Eats gift card and stuff, which like I'm not even sure if my neighborhood gets that. So I'll have to see if that's even a thing I can use. But they sent me like a selfie light and like a sweater that says classic on it, which I thought was kind of cool. So I don't know.
Yeah. Weird. Random stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. Like sometimes, because I have like a mailbox that companies can like send stuff to, and sometimes I get stuff and I'm like, how did you get my address? Like, how did you know? Who did you talk to that gave you this? You know. But yeah, besides that, I played Assassin's Creed yesterday, the new one, Odyssey.
Yeah.
So that is good so far, but I still feel like it's kind of early to. I played 6 hours yesterday, and so far I'm like, okay, yeah, this is an Assassin's Creed game. Like this has all of the elements that I expect from every other Assassin's Creed game. So what is going to set it apart is I'm kind of waiting to see. There's like a couple things that we started to touch on yesterday that I was like, okay, when this expands more, like now this will be something that will be what will set this apart from other Assassin's Creed games. Obviously, they're kind of going more into RPG elements and allowing you to choose if you want to play like one character or the other, which is really awesome.
Yeah, which character did you choose? Which one are you playing?
Guess.
How much? Okay, here's the real question. 6 hours in, how much of an enormous lesbian is your character? On a scale of like 1 to 10.
Oh, well, I mean, we haven't like met any people yet that she can flirt with.
Right, so you're only killing people. Yeah. The flirting comes later. Okay, good to know.
Yeah,
we'll check in again next week.
Super badass. She's very buff, which is excellent.
Priorities.
I'm a huge fan of that. Yeah. How much will she be later? 10 for sure.
Yes.
But for now,
10.
we're still kind of early. But yeah, like being able to choose your character is really cool, and then the I don't know. I like that they're branching out more with not just being like Assassin's Creed, kill these 5 people, you're done, and actually like having more of a universe and everything. So
yeah, same. Yeah, I like that too. Yeah, I think that's interesting. That's what's gonna bring me, because I haven't played an Assassin's Creed game since the Boston one, 3.
Yeah,
maybe.
Oh yeah.
So I've missed like everything since then. And when I saw the stuff at E3, I was like, oh yeah, okay, I could play this.
Yeah, Origins was really good. That was the one set in Egypt. I had some big grievances with the story and how that worked out, but that was a pretty good game. And Syndicate was also really good. I don't remember when Black Flag came out. I don't know if it was before or after 3.
It was after. It was the next one, because the dude in Black Flag I think is related to the guy in 3. Like he's his like dad or grandpa or something. Yeah, Black Flag was like the 4th one. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Black Flag was really great. I skipped Unity because of all the issues with its release. And then Syndicate was I actually really liked Syndicate a lot. And Origins was pretty good as well. So
I dropped out because of multiplayer not being in the game anymore. And I'm not a big multiplayer like person. Like I love single player games. That's always been my like main thing, but god damn that Assassin's Creed multiplayer. It was so fun. And then when they stopped doing it, I was like, "Oh, that sucks."
I've never played Ow. Oh god.
You okay?
Rest in peace, AnneMunition, Top Gamer. It was good knowing you, and I'm sorry.
And
how much HP you got?
Not the money maker.
I know, that's my draping finger. How do I? So I forget what we were even talking about. We're talking about Assassin's Creed. And then I don't know.
That's okay. We're talking about Assassin's Creed. Yeah.
Completely distracted. I don't know.
You mentioned the multiplayer.
Well, that's cool. Yeah.
You said you'd never played
the multiplayer. Yeah, I've played all of the Assassin's Creed games except for 2 of them, and I have never once touched a multiplayer. That's what it was. Good job, Max.
It's fun.
Yeah, it was really fun. It was super cool. Did anybody besides Mark and I play it? Max, did you play any of the Assassin's Creed multiplayer stuff?
Yeah, I actually really like the multiplayer, especially when you're hunting each other. I've got some videos actually on that. I was sad when they stopped doing that, because that was like that made sense for their whole thing, and it was like, yeah, this is really compelling multiplayer and something different. So keep doing that. Nope.
I wonder, because Ubisoft did Splinter Cell, and Splinter Cell also for a while had just like bomb ass multiplayer. The one where you were like the spies and the mercenaries, and it was like 2v2 or whatever. Yeah.
I love that.
I wonder if there was somebody on the Splinter Cell team that was like, I like kooky multiplayer. Let me go work for the Assassin's Creed guys. We're gonna make a kooky multiplayer over there. And then they went away.
It was good.
It was good.
That multiplayer still holds up today. I would definitely go and play the Splinter Cell multiplayer or the Assassin's Creed one.
Yeah. Those games are great. Well, we can hold out hope. It seems like Assassin's Creed, the last 2 games have gotten a lot of like positive attention. So maybe they'll.
Yeah, I think they're getting better.
Please do it. Yeah. I mean, it's on my list. I'll definitely give it a play. I think once kind of everybody's done running through it. Bronze, I want to get an update from you. Also, I noticed you had your mouth full, so I have to talk to you. I'm like a waiter that way. How is Pathfinder going? Are you still like struggling? Have you changed the difficulty? How's it been in the last week? Because I know you were having a time with it.
Well, I figured out a workaround for that bug I was facing, so it is easier now, even though I didn't drop the difficulty just because my melee can attack. But I haven't had that much time with it because I was gone for 4 days. I was in LA wrapping a project I was GMing that I can't talk too much about, but you'll hear about it soon enough. So that was awesome. And I went to Halloween Horror Nights.
Great. It was great that there was that pause there between wrapping and up a project, because for just a moment I was like, was there a video? Do you have a grill? What kind of wrapping were you doing?
Exactly.
No, that's fine. It was just a project. It's cool.
Yeah.
So you're doing the LA thing, RPG stuff. That's cool. That's exciting.
And then I had an extra day while I was there, so I had to go to the Universal Studios Horror Nights, and I did. And it was great. It just sucks because I mostly go for the artistry. I just like fabrication, and I love seeing like the sets that they make and the costumes and all that. I live for it. But then they scare me, and I don't like that part. You know? And
you
I kind of
like
wish
the instruments of fear, but not the fear itself.
Yes. I'm like an atmospheric horror kind of gal, right? An existential horror kind of gal. So I had to go to the Poltergeist haunted house. I had to. But the other part of me was like talking to the people I was in line, you know, the poor people who work there. I was like, is there any way I can go through and they don't jump out at me? And they were like, no. And I was like, because can you like tell them, like, don't jump out at her. She just wants to look around. And they were like, why are you here? And I was like, I really want to see. Like, I really like the Poltergeist, and I really want to see. And it was great. It was great.
Bronze only buys the magazine for the articles. Yeah.
That's
sure.
me.
I remember that happened to Aaron. They had that TwitchCon party that was at the Queen Mary. The Queen Mary, every year, for people who don't know, is this giant like old yacht that's been retired and is now harbored permanently in Long Beach. And you can go there like all the time. There's like, it's like a hotel and like a restaurant and stuff, so you can just like go on there, which is really cool. But during the Halloween season, they convert it into like this really, they like have all these mazes and stuff, and there's like these elaborate sets and everything where they like jump out and scare you and stuff. But what Aaron didn't know was that the whole like main entrance of it, where they have like food and drinks and like that kind of stuff, they also like have actors walking around who will scare you while you're just like walking around.
Oh no!
Like, trying to drink your Diet Coke, and they're just jump there and just scream at you. You're like, I'm trying to enjoy my beverage.
They have like really like they have like these metal knee pads, and they're on like rollerblades or some shit. So they like run at you and then like slide, and it's like really loud and like a startling noise. So I've been there a bunch of times since I live in LA. So I like kind of knew what it was. And I remember when she went, she was like, I wish I could just go and sit and just like be with my friends, but not be getting scared. And I was thinking about how they have those like harnesses for dogs where it says like, do not pet. Or like, don't do this, you know? And I was like, they should give you like a bracelet that's like glowy and be like, don't scare me. I just want to hang out. Please don't run at me.
I feel like the problem with those is, and I say this as like someone who owns clothing that says "Don't talk to me" on it. It's a real good way to get people to do the opposite of the thing that the thing says.
Yeah, well,
the
more
like will paint you as the target.
Seem, they find you and they're just like that person because she's gonna scream and that'll be funny.
Yeah,
because my friends that I went with, one was like not scared at all, and then I was in the middle, and then Brownie was like terror incarnate, so they like targeted her, which was good because it was almost like a totem. Like she drew all the aggro as opposed to me, which was good because like she gave them the reaction they were looking for, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas like, my other buddy gave them no reaction at all, and I was like in the middle. And so I actually got through most of the park just fine. There was one part that I think I actually legitimately disappointed one of the actors because he was on stilts and he jumped out of this maze, and I would have been frightened for the jump scare, except I'm a big fan of the Krampus. And I love like the comic Klaus, and I just love that Germanic freaking tale of the Krampus. So he jumped out. I was like, oh my God, it's a Krampus. And I'm like fumbling for my phone because I like want to take a photo of the Krampus. And he just like shook his head at me and like kind of waved me away. And I was like, no, you don't get it. I'm your biggest fan. And he was just like, you wasted that perfectly good
I
scare.
really want you to change your Twitter bio so it says a big fan of the Krampus.
I am. I'm a big fan of the Krampus. He's wonderful. I love his gigantic, long, creepy tongue, and the fact that he whips naughty children on Christmas. You can't just like getting coal is not a punishment for being a piece of shit. Getting whipped by the Krampus is a punishment for being a piece of shit.
For some people, I think for some people, being whipped by the Krampus is not a punishment. I think they're probably into it.
I'm talking about children, Adam. Okay, I'm talking about children.
The internet has you covered. People in chat who are like, should I Google that? Or you probably should. Go ahead and just do that.
There's going to
That'll
be
fine for
Krampus
you.
adult movies. I can just tell now.
Rule 34.
Yep. God, it's just the depths that human people will go to be entertained. Well, so what protects the people that work at these parks from just getting like slugged in the mouth? Like
nothing.
Is there a barrier that's nothing? Okay.
Nothing. I saw several people get escorted out. And the worst part, the part that disturbs me is they serve alcohol.
Yeah.
Right.
And
but the thing is, like, it's not
while
even,
I was there, I counted 5 that I saw security escorting out, and they have like a constant.
It's not even the punchers. It's not even the punchers' fault. Like some people, when you jump out and scare them, that's just what they do. You can't control how you freak out. And some people, it's a punch. Yeah. Don't surprise people. You get sucked in the mouth. Tell me about this time.
It's like if they're like, you went to this thing, you expected to be scared. Okay, well, you scared me. So what do you think is going to happen if you like, how is this my fault now at the same time?
Yeah. I'm one of those people, but I always keep my hands like firmly in my pockets or like tied like this because to a certain extent, I'm asking to be scared. So then I don't want to hit someone who's just trying to give me entertainment, you know?
Here's Adam says that he thinks that I'm the person he would least like to get into a knife fight with. So you would think that I would be the person who would react with a punch. But when I get scared, those guys like run out at me. For some reason, my natural reaction is to say, "Oh, excuse me." They're just like, "Oh, I'm sorry." Just like apologizing. So I'm like walking through the maze. They're like jumping out. They're like, "Rawr," and I'm just like, "I'm sorry."
Do you have any Canadian ancestry? And do you have family up in the Great White North? Because that sounds really familiar. And let's be real. And if the reason that I am least interested in getting in a knife fight with you is not because you would be surprised or scared by it. If this happens, you are intentionally trying to kill me. So there's no. It's not about that. A fear response is too late. It's too late for me. Yeah, none of that stuff does not I am a scaredy cat. I don't like that kind of stuff. I don't like being frightened.
How do you guys feel about horror games?
I'm terrible. Oh, they freak me out so bad.
For me, it's 50-50. Like if it's like a sheer jump scare game, like Five Nights at Freddy's, I hate it. But I willed myself through Dead Space because I needed to know the story. So some horror games.
I didn't find Dead Space. I didn't find Dead Space at all like scary at all. Probably because I was overwhelmed by all the other stuff. Yeah, where I was just like, oh, this is like Event Horizon or Alien. Like those aren't scary. They're just like dark kind of like sci-fi. But then an intentionally like a horror game like Amnesia or Outlast.
Is that?
Yeah.
I don't play them, so I'm totally
like Resident Evil 7. It was the same thing. I just wanted to know how that story went, so I willed myself through it, and it was really. I'm sure it was entertaining to watch because, and this happened at the horror night as well. I'm not much of a screamer, but I will like freeze and then I start laughing. Just like hysterically.
Right. Yes.
And there's like a clip of that, me being like, "Oh my God," and then just laughter. Just like
what? And so Mark and Bronze both as like GMs, I think that you'll have had this experience. This is why I don't think that tabletop like horror games work very well, because when people get scared, they laugh and they try to break the tension, and then the whole table loses the like energy. You can't like it's so hard to do to keep everyone scared, because I'm the same way. Like I'll get scared and then I'll laugh at my own reaction at either how silly it was to be scared in the first place or to like try to not be so scared. It's just like you can't help it.
I do that with scary movies for sure. Scary movies. Scary games I find different. Like I have a real problem with scary games, like even like really tame stuff, because whenever I stop playing, I just can't shake it from my head. Like, especially any kind of
Right.
supernatural horror. I'll be there lying in bed at night and I just can't.
Yeah.
Like, my imagination's just going nuts, and it just really gets to me.
Me
I've
too,
always
but
been
some of the
terrible
lore
with
is so good. And then it's like scary movies and games are just like the weather. Remember how like last time we're like, oh, it doesn't matter if you're like, it's so hot here. Someone will be like, I
Right.
live on the surface of the sun. Same thing with scary movies because my tolerance is really low, right? So I'm like, oh yeah, you know what? I really loved it because I love the book and I really wanted to see that movie, but I didn't sleep for 3 nights. People are like, it's not even scary. I'm like, it's not even the conversation we're having, fuckwad. We're just talking about whether the movie was good or not.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. You think that's scary. You should watch this movie. And this movie, the
There-
killer literally launches out of the TV and eviscerates you.
I find there's a very narrow band where I'm like, I have to want the protagonists, I have to want them to like survive so that I care about being scared for them. But so often the movie makes the bad guy so much cooler that I'm like, yes, kill all of them.
Kill 'em.
I agree. Like to burn the earth into terrible fire, that would be great. You should do that. Like I had that reaction with Hereditary, where the first 3/4 of the movie I was scared, and then once it started to come together, I was like, oh yes, good. I'm on Team Evil now. This isn't scary anymore.
I can't watch Hereditary. It looks creepy.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
No, I
Yeah.
can't watch that stuff.
I don't even know what that is.
It's a horror, psychological horror movie. Came out like a couple months ago. A lot of people were like, "This is the scariest movie I've ever seen." It's really good. I thought it was really good. Yeah, it's like right up there with The Witch, or sorry, The Vivitch, for like my favorite like tense horror movies. Yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah. What about you, Max? Are you easily scared? Do you do the scary thing? Do you like scary movies, Max?
I wouldn't say I'm easily scared. I was going to comment on the scary game things. I was actually going to try that Visage, whatever game that I saw Bikeman playing, and had it on my radar because Amanda was going to try it out. Looks pretty neat. He said it was pretty decent, but I play scary games sometimes. I don't play them very often. So when people see me playing a scary game, I usually go through them very cynical like, because most of them have very predictable tropes and things that happen. I get startled for sure. Like I get jump scared and stuff. I'm the one that does like, you son of a bitch. Like,
right. Yeah. Like that's 100% a reaction, that like anger response, but not real anger. Like the same as like stubbing your toe. You're just like, God damn it. What the shut up. Yeah.
I think the draw when I play scary games and stuff is because I go through very cynical, making fun of everything kind of, but I'm still interested in like the atmosphere and like all the stuff. I like it when it's done well. So I play them when a game like this kind of comes along. As far as going to, like Halloween Horror Nights and things like that, I love that kind of stuff too. But again, if they startle me, I was like,
So there's the kind of next level up from this. There are some friends of mine that I know that live in New York who have signed up for. There's this thing. So basically, you pay them and you sign a waiver or whatever, saying you're not going to sue and that you know what is like going to happen, and then you tell them, like, you give them time frames where you're like, okay, I work these hours and I'm unavailable this day, and then that's it. And then sometime in like the next month, they will like find you and drive up to you in a van and grab you and like throw a bag over your head and like put you through this like horrible thing. And then like you have to escape. And then you're just like out in the middle of nowhere with like your phone and stuff, and you're done. Like, and they're just like, that's it. That was the haunted house. We just like kidnap you and we drag you away to some horrific place and weird bad shit happens to you. And you paid us for it. Thank you. And I have some friends who they swear by it. They're just like really into it. Yeah.
I have spent the past 28 years trying to avoid that exact scenario happening to me, so no thank you. I'm going to use my money on candy and beer instead. Leave me alone. Okay.
It's just an adrenaline thing, right? That's what it's got to be, like an adrenaline junkie thing of like, just getting hyped up on.
Go on a roller coaster.
What if it was
exactly.
fake?
Like,
no. What if you paid somebody to do that and then someone else actually kidnapped you and you were just like, oh, this is so great. You're like tied to the chair and they're just like, no, we're gonna torture you, and you're like, yeah, this is awesome. Just like totally having the opposite reaction. They're just like, what the fuck?
It's very confusing for them. Like, wait.
I am sure that is a plot of like an NCIS episode or something like that. I am.
I mean,
100%
people in chat,
Probably,
yeah,
yeah.
people in chat are figuring this out. There's a Michael Douglas movie called The Game.
Was it?
Yeah, there was a Michael Douglas movie called The Game in which Michael Douglas gets signed up for The Game. It's a David Fincher movie from the late 90s. And and it basically is about this rich guy who gets signed up for a game that's like in real life, and the whole movie is like, is it real? Is it not real? What's happening? It's terrible. Sean Penn is in it, like as his best friend, and it's really terrible, but also like kind of good in that terrible late 90s way. Yeah. The Game. It's a real thing. So this is a thing that people do, but like as a horror thing, I don't know. I'm not about it. That's a whole other level of like paying someone to scare me that I am not into.
That's like my only consolation when going through like those haunted houses is that they can't touch me. I don't even like the interactive haunted houses. No, like don't touch me, because then you will get my gut reaction, which is like to slug you. There's no off button on that. Yeah. Like there's a difference between being spooked and like jumping, like Max said, and doing the whole and like kind of flailing but not doing anything. And like once you touch me, like all cards are off the table. I don't know how I'm gonna react. So don't do it.
Yeah, I think the thing is about these things is like if you're into horror and you go to horror movies, your brain is going to be like, it's not real, it's just a movie, it's not real, and then that kind of you wear down on that, and so you go to a haunted house, and then you're like, oh, it's not real, they can't touch me, whatever, and then eventually you wear down on that, and you need more and more scary shit. So to Anne's point, I think the appeal of these things is it's the most real it can feel, where you will always kind of wonder like, wait, is this the thing? Is this the thing I paid for? Is this something for real? Is this happening? I don't know. People are into some weird shit, and more power to them, but I don't want to pay anyone to kidnap me. Thanks. We're good.
Nope.
I just rather play a role-playing game. yeah. Please no. Thank you. All right, let's play some Fire Verona. Let's do the thing. On today's episode, Booker gets kidnapped. So
it's okay. You pay to be kidnapped.
It's already happened. Yeah, Booker. It's already. Oh, I see. So what that faction cred was really for was to pay these guys to pretend to capture Booker and put him through 3 months of. It was a weird sex thing. Good to know. All right, fantastic.
Shook hands with them afterwards. Right. This was great, guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks, really good job. Nice torturing. Thanks, guys. Good stuff. I'm gonna go back to my home planet.
What is wrong with you people?
Good torturing. Good work. All right, cool. Let's get some goals. So, Nomi and Booker, we saw you making your connection last time with Tomomi Emerson, the snitch in the PIB. What do you want your goals for today to be?
We didn't do XP last time.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So before you change your goal, let's check in. Thank you, Anne. Okay. So, Nomi, your goal was to learn the name of someone to investigate, which you achieved. Yes. So get an XP for that. Yeah. Booker, your goal was to prove your value to Nomi. Nomi, does Booker get an experience point?
It wasn't to prove my value to Nomi. It was to prove my value. And don't let me bitch myself out of XP right now, by the way, Anne.
Okay, will you explain what your goal was to me? It was
to, I believe it was to prove his worth as a soldier, like to kind of dispel,
right,
and kind of reverse,
yes, and then I asked prove, and I asked prove to whom, and you said Nomi, because she's in charge.
Okay.
So Nomi, listen, man, that's what I got written down. I'm looking at your character.
I think so.
Now.
It's all good. It's all good. Through the chain of command, yes, it does fall to Nomi, but
yeah. So Nomi, yes, you've proven that you are capable.
Yeah, because he went. I specifically took him on that like little mini mission with me. So, yes.
Yeah, to see if you could do it. Okay.
Dope.
Cool. Good. All right. So, Kiran, you wanted to find a lead on the Trilliant Ring, someone that you could talk to, which you did.
Thank you, kind of benevolent space master. Oh God,
you're on your way. You're on your way to meet with Linus. So you got that. So you get your XP.
Super cool trill, dude.
God, what happened when you?
But yeah,
I don't
right.
think I've
So
ever
for
been sick.
folks who might be curious about what's happening, the Amira is really, really allergic to poor people. And so Berkman has not been good to her immune system. So chat Linus, more like sinus. Very nice. Thanks, chat. Okay, good. You get your XP.
Rude.
Bronze. It was rude, but funny. It was way too funny. Okay, and then Chaplain Valencio, if you could check in on your goal. You wanted to convince you worked on it. You wanted the Reverend Elder to, but you blew up like a couple of rolls. So yeah,
As always.
you're trying.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I'm probably just going to keep the same one, I think.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, nothing in my situation has changed enough for me to kind of warrant changing mine, so...
Okay, sure. All right, so we'll start there. Convince the Elder to confide. Because right now she was just like, yo, why did the church send me a man shaped like a bunch of guns? Okay. All right. So back to the top. Nomi, what would you like your goal to be today?
I have to remind myself of who we talked to last time.
Yeah, you got to lead through Tomomi Emerson.
Yeah.
And
Momi?
that's
Meet Nomi.
Yeah, Momi Tomomi. So that's where we left off with you. You have this like angle in on the PIB. She's gonna try to give you some info.
Okay. Are we still talking to her, or did we just get like her name and then we're gonna leave, or?
Yeah, I mean you'll get some information. You'll have a chance to sort of like debrief her, and you could, if you want, you could hold off on your goal until after that, or you could write a goal that was like use the information from Emerson to build a plan against the PIB, right? So like turning that information into like a tactical meeting.
Okay. Can I make my goal to be to I want to find out the name and location of whoever is in charge of the PIB here on Berkman.
Ooh, yeah. Follow the trail. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so find out who the leadership of the PIB is.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because there's no reason to split it into two things because you'll still only get the one XP, right? Okay. So the leadership of the PIB is. Then you can kind of decide how to handle them. Okay, great. Booker, what do you want to do for yours?
Yeah, mine was actually going to be similar to that. Use intel from Omi to further the investigation or further the mission.
Okay, so like follow the trail of Emerson's information, or like just pursue that. Okay, that's good.
Nothing else really makes sense. I'd like to build a relationship with Chaplain. All of a
sudden. I mean, whatever. Like Chaplain, we were apart for so long. Chaplain. I haven't seen you all day. Okay. Cool. So that's good. And then, Kiran, what do you want for your goal?
I would like to blow up the floating symbol of hedonism that is the Golden Church.
Just all by yourself?
Maybe that's more of a long-term goal.
Yeah, that's fine. Treason looks good in blue.
Right? I mean, the chaplain would probably back me up on that one. No, probably not. I think mine is going to be to investigate more closely the relationship between Trilliant and the High Church.
Yeah. Okay.
And then blow up the giant floating golden symbol of hedonism.
Hear that, Adam? She doesn't get XP until she does both.
Hey, listen, that giant floating golden thing is a house of God, all right? You don't want to blow up God's house. I'll be pissed. All right. Between
God will smite you. He's a
church,
cooking up
he
something.
will, though. I haven't thought about that in a while. Okay, and trilliant. Thank you for that, Max. He's a cooking something up.
I love that.
All right. Yeah, it's pretty good. Cool. All right. So let's start with the chaplain, because chaplain, we haven't seen you in a little bit. We haven't really seen you since your talk with the elder. There's a timer set, right? In 2 days, as of now, there's a dinner at the embassy, which will include the Herzogian Ramirez Eliz, the Reverend Elder Miguel Sinclair, and then some other miscellaneous like people. No one has made any effort to like check the guest list or like ask who's being invited or ask anybody to be invited. So for right now, it'll be those two and then some other miscellaneous people that you can try to contact. But if you want to do some footwork in advance, you certainly can. After your conversation with the Reverend Elder Sinclair, what do you get up to, Chaplain? This is a planet that is clearly embroiled in some matters of spiritual confusion.
I guess I'd probably head back to the embassy building where everyone's staying. Realize nobody's there. Because everyone's doing their own stuff. And I guess there's kind of, it's tricky trying to figure out what I'd want to do.
So the direct approach didn't seem to work with the Reverend Elder. She doesn't trust you, or seems not to. Thinks that you are a destabilizing element, if anything. She knows a little bit about you and your friends, but you don't know much about her aside from what sort of the Prism feeds have had to say.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be a twofold thing of looking a bit more into the Reverend Elder, but also checking out who the invitees are for this dinner, and maybe also looking into a little bit of paranoia sneaking into the chaplain's mind about, this is potentially an incredibly high target. If these terrorists were, looking to cause like a significant blow, then perhaps like targeting this dinner where the Reverend Elder's going to be, where a number of House Crocs are going to be, that could potentially be dangerous. So I guess he'd maybe start looking into that, like looking at who's been invited, looking at the plans, checking the security and things like that, I guess.
Okay. So
and
how
then
do
also,
you
doing background work on the Reverend Elder as well, trying to learn a bit more about her.
Okay. Which of those two things do you want to pursue, and where do you start?
I don't know. Why do you ask me these questions, Adam? Why can't you just tell me the answers?
Because that would be too easy.
It would be too easy. I guess learning more about the Reverend Elder doesn't seem like it would be his major concern.
Yeah, right. Because your goal, I mean, literally, your character goal is to get her to confide in you. And so this will teach us, how does the chaplain get people to do that, right? Like, you went and you talked to her, she doesn't trust you. How do you fix that? Are we going to see the chaplain try to find like a nice way to do this, to like find something she needs and help her get it? Or is this going to be more about getting leverage and being like, listen, you need to tell me your secrets?
No, it's not the latter. I don't think that's be him. This is a member of the church that obviously he respects and cares about. I think this would be more maybe trying to use his set of skills, which he knows is in combat and, things like that, in a way that isn't just being a cold killer, which he seems to think he is. So I guess this would be the kind of trying to, man, I feel really stuck and I feel like I'm just babbling and wasting everyone's time, but either going through and checking,
you're not, it's cool.
It's just on the spot and it's trying to think of stuff. So yeah, either like basically kind of taking on the role of ensuring the security. So maybe doing like background checks on the guest lists, seeing if there's been any change of plans, see if there's been anything to suggest that something has changed for this dinner plan that could be a potential security leak.
Yeah. Okay. So
that'll
how
be
do
the
you get
first thing.
access? Yeah, how do you get access to the list, the guest list, or to
Well, it's
like
being
security?
hosted at the same. The lady, the ambassador, is hosting the evening, right? It's at her house.
Yes, it's happening. Yeah, it's happening where you are, and already looking around you, you can see that the embassy's kind of main room is already starting to be redecorated for the purposes of this sort of church event.
Yeah.
So the House Crux banners are being taken down and replaced with the sort of Crux and church like companion tapestries.
Mhm.
They're redecorating in preparation for this dinner, so it's already starting to kind of happen.
Yeah, so I guess maybe going to the ambassador and asking for things like the guest list, because I'm assuming the ambassador will know who's meant to be attending. But then also just inquiring if there's been anything unusual, or if there's been any changes made at the last minute, kind of thing. Those would be his first two avenues, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. So I think that make a luck save. I just want to see if she's like around and available for you right now. Okay. All right. So you'll have to go through like an assistant or something, someone that is in charge. So there are serfs. There's like the house staff of the embassy, and there's a couple dozen of them. And so when you're kind of walking through, pondering like what to do next, you see there is a serf, and he is like tan skin, house crux colors, and he's got this kind of authoritative air around him, and he's talking to a couple of other serfs and kind of giving them orders, and you see him.
Okay. Yeah, I'd probably approach him just cautiously, wait for him to finish doing his business, but then catch him in a moment where he's where I'm not gonna be disturbing what he's trying to do.
Okay. Yeah, sure. So you walk over, and he notices you approaching, and he dismisses the others. Like, you hear him saying, "Fine, you know what we need. Go, hurry up," and like scatters them away. And he turns right to you as you are walking up, and he says, "Chaplain Valencio, honored guest, how can I help you? Is there something you need?"
Bow my head. 10 blessings to you, my friend. I was looking for the lady of the house, but it appears that she is not available at this time. Perhaps you can help me. What was your name, sir?
He does not know what his name is. He needs a second to randomly generate one for himself. His name is... Let's see here. The generator's being cruel to me. He just said butts 3 times in a row. His name is Fabian.
Butts.
So he bows and he says, "Fabian, sir."
Fabian, it is nice to meet you. Thank you for such wonderful accommodations during our stay here. I am led to believe that the Reverend Elder will be hosting a dinner here in a few days' time, and I'm sure that you have heard discussions around the house. I want to make sure that the event will go as smoothly as possible for the Reverend Elder. Do you happen to have available the guest list by any chance?
His eyes narrow slightly, and you can see for a moment, just a microsecond, you can see him processing how best to extricate what he anticipates being a potentially awkward situation. And he says, "I am afraid protocol stands that the guest list is private, Chaplain Valencio. Was there someone you were hoping to invite? I could have them added to the list, of course."
I'll kind of look at him. I must offer my apologies. I am perhaps not as well versed in these etiquette and protocols that you mentioned. What exactly is the protocol for such a guest list? Is it some great secret that we should not know about?
He says, "It's not that. It's just that these things can be sensitive. Internal politics being what they are, some guests will want to avoid others. It's a whole thing.
So
Nothing that you need to worry about."
You are worried about, indeed, I fully agree. I do not need to worry about, and neither do you, my friend. If you are concerned about some political machinations, I can assure you that that is not my intention. I am concerned with the safety, and making sure I know who is coming is an important part of that.
I assure you, Chaplain, and you can see like you've twigged on some matter of personal pride. I assure you, Chaplain, the embassy is the most secure building in all of Berkman 3. It is a
Indeed.
House Crux embassy, after all.
I'm sure it is, and I'm sure that such a man who takes such pride, a virtuous notion nonetheless, in such matters would relish the assistance of a certain man with certain skills. Do you have much experience working with MES individuals, Fabian?
We, and you can see it hasn't occurred to him. Make a talk roll with charisma. Give yourself a +1.
Cool.
I had not considered the matter, Chaplain. Should I be
I am not
concerned?
I just hold my hands up. I say, like, it is not something I would have expected you to, even taking such great prides as you clearly do already. This is just something that myself and members of my team are perhaps a bit more experienced with. Given the nature of the intensity of the matters here on Berkman, we should not leave anything to chance. Who knows what any individuals that sought to do harm to House Crux or the High Church would go to. They may have found some sort of individual that may be able to bypass your defenses. Please allow me to help you.
Everything that you say is making him more and more nervous. Now he's thinking about like what but I can't protect us against psychic assassins. This is insane. What? This is supposed to be a party. I don't. But his surface is just like still, but there are slight twitches in his eyelids and like his breathing changes slightly.
I think that's why I'll definitely emphasize that. Let me help you. This is something I can help you with.
Right. And he says, I had not anticipated requiring your assistance, but of course, Chaplain, if you're not too busy, I would love it if you could take a look at the security protocols for the party and offer any of your particular expertise.
I'm assuming that you have done background checks on the attending guests.
And he nods and he says, yes, of course. And he hands you his data pad. Which he has brought up on it. Basically, the security overalls for the situation. So when there are going to be guards, where the guards will be, who is going to be attending. There is a guest list with confirmation data.
Okay, I'll do like a copy, like kind of send it to my own pad, like a swipe it over or something like that. Hand him back his pad. The last question I have for you, Fabian. Have there been any last-minute changes that you're aware of in the last few days?
He says there was some awkwardness around a community leader, one of the pastors, whether they were going to be able to attend or not. I've made the appropriate note, but I don't consider it to be a security risk.
Is it someone that you know of? Is this somebody that the Reverend Elders?
He shakes a hand. Yeah, he shakes a hand and he says, "No, you haven't been on Berkman long, Chaplain, but you'll find that these sorts of religious figures tend to rise and fall like the tide, if this planet had one."
And this one is on the up or on the fall? What was the nature of the complication?
I try to keep myself out of these sorts of regional politics, Chaplain.
A man who takes such pride in security, I'm sure that you have at least some tabs on things. And I kind of give him like a genuine smile.
No one on that list is a security risk. Which,
sure.
According, like you can tell he believes that to be the case, but you'll make your own decisions on that.
All right. Well, seeing as this person is a pastor, would you at least tell me who they were, their name?
You can see there, sir, Pastor Lau, something of a firebrand, but a friend of the elders. Personal invitation.
Excellent. Good to know. Thank you very much, Fabian. I will leave you to work, but if there are any concerns, if you have any questions, I will look over the data you have sent. But if there's anything you need to query, please come and find me. I'm here to assist you, as I am here to assist all of the nobles.
And he nods. Thank you, Chaplain. This has been unexpectedly helpful. Excuse me.
Nod. Yeah. And then I'll go find a quiet place to go through the security info.
Okay. All right. So meanwhile, while the chaplain is digging through the guest list, Booker and Nomi, we cut to you, and I think that you've had, rather than go through like a long-winded like exposition dump, Tomomi Emerson has told you basically what she knows about the PIB and their actions on Berkman. So the People for an Independent Berkman grew out of one of the larger, more moderate political movements on the planet. As we said before, there are a few of them. There was a sect of particularly like anti-imperial sort of Berkmanites who valued independence as being a like a virtue that is supposed to be part. They're technically part of the high church, but they're a splinter because they added this extra virtue of independence, self-reliance. They were mostly focused on the kind of outside parts. Like New Antioch didn't have many of these guys. They'd lived separated on a bunch of farmsteads out in the sort of caves of Berkman 3. But in the last little while, the last like several months, they reformed and rebranded as the People for an Independent Berkman and started like protesting in the streets of New Antioch. And they had money. They were like paying people and buying things, and nobody knew where that was coming from because these used to just be like poor farmers, and now they're being funded and have a much bigger presence in the city. They've become like an urban faction. She only really got connected to them after some like personal. She has a personal vendetta against Trilliant because Trilliant bought out a bunch of like higher level real estate. She owned some like maybe some moisture farming land up above, and Trilliant bought it out with the cooperation of the high church on a kind of like divine right thing where they got paid very, very little because there was like an edict from the church. It was like, listen, we need this land for holy purposes. And her and a bunch of the other people that got bought out for cheap ended up having to move down into the lower parts of the city, and they have since not been very pleased. Tomomi herself admits only to being peripheral to the whole thing. She refuses to mention any specific names, but gives you kind of the background of these things. And so that's when we fade in, right, on her having been like, so you have to understand, this is why there is a problem on Berkman. These religious debates, these discussions about the virtues, they're really only on the surface. What really matters is land being taken from us. There is not a lot of opportunity around here. The surface is hot and it's barren, and taking away what little we already have while building that monstrosity church. I mean, I'm a faithful woman, but it's too much. And I can understand why these people would have joined up. But then they started killing people. Bombings. Things meant to look like accidents, but they weren't. I know. I stopped going to meetings some weeks ago, and then I heard you were coming here, so... Listen, I don't like turning on my fellows. These people have a right to the land that they own, to not be bought out, whatever the church says. We have our own way of doing things here. And you can see, like, through the whole conversation, she is struggling. Every time she tells you anything useful, it kills her a little because she's betraying what she saw as a cause. She's a conflicted woman.
Mhm. Um, I understand your frustrations. You were forced from your home for a reason that you don't necessarily agree with. But the murder of innocent civilians who have nothing to do with this little rebellion against the church and trilliant has got to stop. And the only way that we can do that is if you give me information on who to speak to, where to go, so that perhaps negotiations can take place. These bombings need to stop immediately.
That's the thing. We've seen how the Empire performs these negotiations. We don't have any rights here. Not really. Technically, the people of Berkman belong to the Empire, but we're serfs without a lord. So the church and Trilliant can just sort of do whatever they want. We have
You
no
have
one
s-
fighting for us.
You have seen others negotiate with the PIB, but you have not yet seen me negotiate with them.
She looks at you, and are you dressed in any way that would indicate your house? Like, do you have anything that would indicate to somebody what like house you are?
Maybe like I don't know if it's like a standard item that would be on like a uniform. Even though we're like serving the crux, is it like against uniform for me to wear like a lapel pin that's like a serpens?
No, not at all. Yeah, like
Okay.
you're on loan to a Crux ship, but it's
Right.
yeah, it's absolutely it's one of those like weirdly like over debated and aggressively pursued inalienable noble rights to be able to like walk around with a big sign that says how important you are and in what specific ways you're important. So yes, you
Yeah.
always have the right to display your noble colors.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, then I would say yes.
Okay. So her eyes fall on that. She sees your insignia, and she says, "Your people are the ones that killed the emperor. You could do that." She like leans back. I mean, these people have no love for the empire, but she like, scowls at you. You see, she's got a mix of like kind of fear and maybe like Booker. You see this where she's looking at Nomi like Nomi could just like draw a gun and shoot her at any minute. Like she's starting to think like this was a mistake.
Mm.
Do you want to say anything, Booker, or do you just let Nomi do the thing?
I think when he sees that, he just kind of interjects to try to calm her down a sec. Listen, I understand you being fearful and wanting some sort of assurance, and I know you can tell that although we're trying to help the situation, I'll be honest with you, we are dangerous people. But when things escalate to such a manner and level that they have, sometimes you need something to push back this inexcusable violence. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. And that's why we need you to help prevent further deaths, needless deaths of civilians, innocent people, the ones you say you want to protect. We can't do that if you don't help us. I understand you're in a rock and a hard place, but what are we to do if we don't have any info?
I just need to know. I need you to promise me that this isn't going to result in a bunch of Imperial troops coming to Berkman and stomping down everything we've been working on. There are a lot of people that are nervous seeing y'all land at the embassy. This is the first wave. It's Crux stormtroopers after this. I gotta know that if I help you, I'm not. Hell, I don't know. I just don't want to be. I don't want to be betraying everything I worked for. My people, you know? You got to
I get
promise
that.
me.
Believe me, I understand something about loyalty. And I'd love to be able to promise that to you. But as you said, we're the first wave. So if you hinder our success and you don't help us, those troopers will come. So really, it's either you help me or what you don't want to happen happens. Certainly.
Right. You're like, well, it's too late. You made the call. So here we
Well,
are.
I mean, also too. I
Um,
mean, like they're not in a position of of power and bargaining here. It's like, listen, I wish I could say that. I can't say that. Like, I can't tell what the future.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Well, and you're being like pretty straightforward. They're like, listen, I can't actually promise you that. That may happen. Okay. So, yeah, let's have a roll. Let's have a roll happen. So, Nomi, you're like leading this discussion, but I think Booker made it clear that he's helping. So, Booker, why don't you roll talk and charisma? If you get a 7 or better, then we'll get Nomi to roll talk and charisma, and we'll see how far you
On
push
charisma?
this lady. Yeah, talk and charisma for me. Oh, nice. Okay,
Oh.
cool. So now Nomi, same roll, but you get an extra +1 from Booker.
12.
Oh,
Even better. All right, so unequivocal. She has no demands. You see there is a slump of her shoulders as she realizes like all that stuff she said about not having any leverage is true. That it's just like, well, if it's not one thing, it's another. And she says, all right, the one who recruited me and a bunch of the rest of us, they're a pastor down here in this neighborhood. They got a church some miles from here, but they come around, you know, pamphlets, service. Name's Lau. And you see her like just like close her eyes like fuck, like what a fucking rat I am. And she just like looks down at the table like
She
So
just says
Pastor-
Lao.
Yeah.
Pastor Lau.
Pastor Lau is the one that is recruiting you to join the PIB. Is that clear?
It's not so obvious as all that. You know, we don't get membership cards or nothing. Just the pastor made space for some of us to have these conversations. Was a facilitator, a host. That's how word gets around on Berkman, right? Through the church. People meet up every week. We pray, we talk. People make connections.
And her church. Tell me where it is. You said it's near here.
Yeah. Can't miss it. And she gives you like directions to it's another location in the same, like down at the same level where you're at.
Okay.
In old Antioch, yeah.
So I look at Booker and I say, well, that gives us a thread to pull. Do you think that we have everything we need? For now.
What's a description of this Pastor Lau? What do they look like? Usually dressed as? Whereabouts? Other than the church.
Well, I mean, they it looks like every other pastor on this planet, right? Used to be dressed in black, now in gray because it's so dusty. Standard church uniform, but modified. You know, for Berkman, we roll up our sleeves around here. I was born here, raised, citizen Berkman, not some off-worlder. you got to understand, this is an off-world problem. Things were getting sorted around here, figured out before Trilliant showed up, before the church. We had a good thing going. The pastor's good people, just... She kind of like shuts down.
I understand that many of these people that are part of this organization seem like good people to you. But, as with most people, they tend to be complicated. Someone can smile in your face and promise that this is good change. And then the next hour go murder innocent people for a demonstration. I advise you to think on that while you place so much loyalty and trust in these people. Many of them are dangerous, but I'm certain not all. Thank you for your help.
And when he says that, I look at her and I stand up and I say, thank you to Nomi. We'll be in touch. And I go to leave.
Okay. Of everything that you said to her in the whole conversation, it's like thanking her is the biggest slap in the face. Like, that's the thing. And I think you can see her eyes sort of well up with tears as you're leaving. And she just kind of like does the like, oh, what have I done? Fuck. And like puts her head in her hands on the table as the two of you walk out. Yeah. So you leave the bar and walk out into the shadowy crevasse of the lower part of Antioch, of New Antioch, and yeah, you can hear the faint jingling of the wind chimes, and you have this this church address.
Sweet.
Yeah, head there now, or
I'll turn to Booker after we are outside and ask him what he wants to do. So, well, we know who we're looking for, and we know where to go. Should we go there now, or do you think that we should meet up with the rest of our crew and return with more troops, or perhaps in better disguises? And I kind of like look at my outfit.
Well, it depends on what your intentions are there. Meaning to just have a nice friendly chat? Or are you trying to take them into custody?
I think we need more information still. If this Pastor Lau is simply a recruiter, then she's not necessarily the person that we're looking for. We need to know who is at the head of this organization. And I don't know if we're going to find them at this church.
Agreed. I only worry that, I mean, there's one thing to talking to one person who has information and pull the thread. But as that thread goes further, we're going to end up in a lion's den. We're not careful, unprepared. That I want to avoid.
I agree.
If you'd like to go and be a little bit disguised, be under the radar, we can still try that out. I don't think going in guns blazing right now is the right call. But
I agree.
you should exercise caution.
Perhaps it would be a good idea to bring the chaplain along, since he is familiar with these matters.
If the chaplain thinks he can pull off not seeming like a man of God, at least his kind, I think he might be able to do it. We should get in touch with him.
Cool. Yeah, I guess I don't want to just like keep doing stuff without everyone.
yeah,
like,
I
we
mean,
wanna
I think
have more
that's the
people
thing is
involved.
if you have an idea of what you want to do, we can cut to Kiran, and then if you want to get the chaplain involved in the next thing, that can be a thing that you can do.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Yeah. So we'll check in with the two of you in just a second. Meanwhile, elsewhere in glowing gold limousine. So we see the limousine from the end of the last episode. We see it pull up to a trilliant like it's not just a building, it's like a facility. It's a bunch of buildings. And as with everything else that Trilliant makes, it is ostentatious, expensive looking, and in its own way, like quite beautiful. The sun is slowly sort of setting. We have the reflection of the gas giant kind of hazy in the distance, and these buildings are either a kind of obsidian sheen, or they are these golden sort of hex-shaped solar panels. And as we approach, the panels are shifting slightly to kind of follow the sun as it goes down. There doesn't appear to be any visible security, but as the limo pulls into the sort of buildings, the buildings area proper, there's a faint shimmer of light that sort of passes over it, and it pulls in. And I guess we cut to the interior of the limousine, and Kiran, our Amira, you are in the limo with your new friend Aram Cruz, and are the two of you? Have you been talking? I mean, he'll talk, but what's the vibe in the limo?
I'd probably most likely play it cool. So probably talk about things in general, trends in general. Probably ask him about his car.
Right.
Cool
Okay.
suit.
Okay. Yeah, he's happy. He's happy to be to tell you about these things. Yeah, that's right. Arnahan is also there.
Yeah.
And do you have
Arnahan is
your
scoping out the booty.
do you have your
At least
assistant
that's the
with you?
impression I got. I don't remember if she came with. I think she did because they were
Okay,
together in
alright.
the hall. Yeah.
So Arnahan is like smoking a cigar and like drinking a glass of whiskey that was given to her when she got in the limo, and she's just looking around like, "Yep, I could get used to this." Like drinking and keeping an eye on this dude while he's talking. And he's talking about some big plan that Trilliant has for expansion, some expansion onto another planet, and how all of the good work that we've done here on Berkman, we want to replicate that throughout the Empire. Everyone deserves to live their Trillist life, and it's up to us to make that happen. Us and our brothers and sisters in the nobility, of course, because without you, well, we wouldn't have any reach. See how well we've cooperated here with the High Church? You wouldn't think that the Church and Trilliant would be a natural fit, but it turns out God invented beauty. So we're just helping his plan along. And that's when the car like pulls up, and it makes a faint chiming sound. And he says,
I mean, God invented ugly too, but I guess I'm not gonna say that.
Yeah, right. I mean, do you? Do you want to try to have a like religious debate with this guy? Because
I mean, if you want to say, well, God invented beauty, well, then that's like God also invented ugliness too, and it's like saying God invented happiness, but he didn't invent pain. Like, yeah, everything's his creation.
I mean, do you say that?
What, Mark?
Yeah,
What?
that's a distinctly untrill thing to say.
Be more trill.
Super not trill.
Be more trill. I feel like that would be that's what my character's thinking is like, well, then what about ugly people?
And say it.
Ugly
Yeah.
place.
You won't.
Maybe I would. Maybe I'd say it a little bit like snarkily and just be like, oh, if God created beauty, I wonder why so much of the universe is so ugly.
He looks at you and he dips his sunglasses down slightly and he gives you a real earnest look.
Mm-hmm.
Earnest registered trademark. He gives you a real earnest look and he says, "That's very insightful, Amira. But it's my own personal belief that, hey, everybody makes mistakes now and then." He flashes a smile.
So, in your opinion, everything that does not match with your aesthetic is therefore a mistake by God?
Oh, no. We at Trilliant appreciate a wide variety of artistic tastes and opinions. Trill comes in all kinds of flavors. It's just We believe that even the ugliest things in the universe can be uplifted with the right application of science, hard work, and a little bit of style.
Uplifted to match your style, you mean?
He puts his hands out like, I don't make the rules.
She just kind of smiles, and then she says, "Don't get me wrong. I definitely enjoy the finer things in life. I just don't pardon such indulgences by saying that God willed them to be. But I think that's the difference between me and you."
You know, I was a lot like you when I first got here. Skeptical about everything. But my time here on Berkman 3, among the people, it's been so good for my soul. Now, when I go into work every day to work for, he like looks out the window as you're arriving, the best corporation in the universe. I know I'm really making a difference. You should have seen this place before, Amira. It was, if you'll pardon my French, it was a shithole. But now, there's real hope. Hope for beauty and truth. For prosperity.
You know, your words are all fluff and drivel, but at least you look good saying them.
And it's like you didn't insult him at all. Like he's just like,
I know,
yes, I
I know.
do. Thank you. Yeah, and he smiles and he says, looking this good takes practice. And money.
Endowments.
And he nods. And he reaches for the door as you arrive, and the thing chimes, and he says, "But if you think I look good, just wait, Amira." And he with a little bit of a flourish, like the door opens
I
and he steps.
Show you the
Yeah, he
world.
steps out and like gestures like, "Welcome to Trillville. Like everything is beautiful and amazing here." And yeah, and he gestures like, "Come,
Is it really called
take a
Trillville?
walk." I mean, that's
love
like,
people, but I also hate them. It's so weird.
yeah.
They're
So
so extra.
he opens the door and he's like, "Please come with me." And as we get the shot that pulls out from the limo and shows this like garden around you, while the planet is like pretty much a shithole, as he said, right? It's hot and rocky and dusty, but this little like closed trilliant community is it has external air conditioning. If you look up and you can see like well disguised atmosphere adjusters, right? You can see the like heat wicking nature of the like ground and the buildings, and everything around here is flashy and expensive and high tech, very very high tech. And he steps out and he says, "Now we've got some time. Do you want the tour, or should I take you straight to the boss?"
I would love the tour. I don't think I've ever been to a trilliant installation before.
He scowls. He says, "Oh, Amira, please. Acre has installations. Trilliant has events." He like gestures, and you can see that there are a couple of like workers, but they look just as like fancy as he does. Like they're literally just kind of like grunts, but they've been dressed up in the nicest possible way. And you can see them, they're talking, and they look over, and one of them like waves at you. And he says, "This is our base of operations in New Antioch. It's the highest caliber facility that we've built." And he gestures, and he says facility like with a little bit of like, he's teasing you. The highest caliber facility we've ever built, at least in this part of the world. Come on, take a look. And he walks you around, and you get the tour of just the flashiest and most expensive stuff. So he talks a lot about how much they have improved the conditions of the people that work here, how the average trilliant employee lives, 46% longer than serfs on any other world. And he doesn't ever actively try to sell you anything, but he definitely implies how much better your life could be if you used more trilliant products.
Okay.
Yeah, and so you get a tour around. And while that's happening, are you gonna try to like guide it in any particular way, or because this is an opportunity for you to kind of like dig up some stuff? What are
Yeah.
you gonna do?
Yeah. While looking around, I'm just gonna ask him, so what is it that Trilliant aims to achieve here on Berkman?
Well, we want to achieve on Berkman the same thing we want to achieve everywhere that we touch. Perfection. So over here, and he like turns. He's like, "Yeah," and that's the answer.
I'm gonna try to push a little further.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'll just kind of nod and say, well, surely your sole aim isn't to achieve perfection pro bono, as they say. How is it that you intend to gain any profit off of any of this? What is it that you stand to gain?
I tend to leave the profits to the church. And what we stand to gain is the uplifting of humanity, the perfection of the human form. See, this is where House Cygnus went wrong, trying to make robots that look like humans. We just want to make humans perfect. So I suppose, whether you're looking at our pharmaceutical division, or looking at our psychology division, or, he gestures, like something a little bit more accessible to the average serf, we just want to make everyone's life, no matter what link in the chain they hold, just a little bit better. I look around, I see this planet the way it used to be, all the struggles and strife. And I look at how it is today. I imagine how it's going to look tomorrow. We just want everyone to live their trillest life, Amira. One step at a time. And yes,
Well, I think I
that
can
does
agree
take
with
money. It does take money. We think of it as our duty, our job, really, the purpose of the Trilliant Ring. Now, the financials, investors, you don't want to hear about that, but I assure you, this Trilliant operation is ship shape. And he just keeps saying things that don't mean anything.
I don't think I'm gonna get.
And you
anything
can't
useful out of
you can't tell if this guy doesn't know anything or if
it.
he's just really good at like obfuscating. You also can't tell if he believes anything that he's saying. Like it's
Right.
he's just saying things and you're like, I hear
Buzzwords.
words coming out of your mouth, but they don't
Yeah.
they don't seem to mean anything.
And then just kind of nod and then say, well, that all seems very well, I suppose. I suppose we could all stand to be a bit triller, as you put it. I'm a little bit short on time today. I have a function a bit later. I should probably run along and meet with your boss now.
And
Sorry, I can't hit Amira's voice today.
yeah, it's okay.
Her voice
yeah,
is
he
even
smiles and nods, and he says, "Of course. I could keep you here all day telling you about everything that we've done on Berkman. We've got more trill than we'll be able to cover in a week. But I have to tell you, Amira, it's been my absolute pleasure." And he like takes your hand, or earnestly again, and he holds it.
Trademark.
Yeah, right. Trademark earnesty. And he holds your hand between the two of his, and he says, "It's been my absolute pleasure showing you just some of the things that we've tried to accomplish. And if there is anything at all that you or any of the other members of your entourage need while you're here on Berkman, I want you to consider me at your personal disposal. It would be my pleasure."
I'm quite flattered, really. I'll take my hand back.
Yeah, you're just like, "Yoop."
Yeah. He's laying it all thick. He's creeping me out.
Yeah. So he leads you to inside the building, which is this kind of oblong cylinder-shaped thing that on the outside is all gold wire and black glass, but on the inside, looking out, it's like the walls don't exist. There's this thin framework of lines. There's some faint light, but it's like you're inside like just a glass. Like
What did they watch
obelisk.
Great Gatsby and just like decide to make a whole city that looks like that? Yes.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
like
All right.
it's like you're on the inside of a full champagne flute.
Okay.
Like all of the light is diffuse and gold, and like everything is and on the inside there's like faint music playing, and there's a scent of like some trademark smell that's meant to make you feel like slightly inadequate, floating in the air. And you're taken directly to the what was his title? The section chief in charge of human resources, taken directly to his private elevator, which Aram Cruz bids you a good day and sends you on your way. Now, Arnahan and your assistant have both just been like walking around wide-eyed, like buying the whole thing. They're just like, I want to live my Trillis life. I want it so bad. And when you get into the elevator, you have a moment of seeming privacy. Arnahan looks at you and she's like, I can't tell if this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, or that man's got his head so far up his ass he doesn't know he's lying to himself. Still, by comparison to the rest of this dirt ball, it's pretty impressive.
I don't think that's up for debate. Arnahan, when you look around, doesn't it sort of bother you what their motives could possibly be here? Is there any money to be made on a planet like this? Makes you wonder how the church is managing to fund this whole endeavor.
I try not to think about those sorts of things, milady.
Fair
It's a
enough.
bit above my pay grade, if you catch my meaning.
You're right. I was trying to just bounce some ideas off of you.
You might find
Then-
that we have a bit of a mismatch of perspectives. No offense.
No, none taken. I'm going to take this moment to say, I actually personally requested that you join our group on our mission on Berkman. I felt that you performed admirably, especially during the arrest of Karsten, and I felt that you showed spirit. And I feel that spirit, when given the proper drive and direction, can achieve quite a lot.
She just kind of stares at you like, okay, and
That was all. No other motives.
yeah, she doesn't say anything, and she's just kind of like, all right. So I think she mutters like, "Hey, well, thanks for that."
I'm gonna turn to her again and just say, I hope to see you go far. Take
She
the
makes a
opportunity.
face.
Okay.
Yeah, when you say it, she makes a little bit of a face like she can't tell if you're being mean or not. She makes the same face that like in a teen drama about high school, the unpopular girl makes when the popular girl suddenly starts talking to her. That like,
yeah.
where are your friends with a bucket of pig's blood? What's about to happen here?
Mm-hmm.
She just kind of looks at you like, all right, thanks, I guess.
I'm just gonna awkwardly
Yeah.
stare at the elevator door.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And the shot lingers in the elevator for like just a little longer than you want it to. Like it's just a little too long as we see you ascend through the inside of this inverted champagne flute. So before we meet with Linus, because he's a big deal, or give you the opportunity to like skulk around if you want to do any of that. Chaplain, you have been analyzing the guest list and the security stuff. Let's have you make a roll. Let's have you make like a some kind of analysis roll on this, and then you can ask me a couple of questions, and then I think you're going to get a phone call from Nomi. So let's see. I
Give me a
feel
skill.
like, I mean, tell me what you want to get out of this. So you have a guest list, you have like a map of the embassy, you've got some basic like security stuff.
I think
what do you want to know?
because the guy mentioned that this Lao, who obviously I don't know anything else about them, but considering
Yeah.
that he mentioned that they were a last minute addition, or like there was
Mhm.
some sort of complication, but they're also a close friend of the Reverend or a personal invitation by the Reverend.
Yeah.
I think I'd probably want to try and dig in more into those two, the Reverend and Lau, and find out what their connection is or a little bit more information about them specifically. Because things like the
Okay.
security, I'm like, yeah, okay, you know, that's going to be fairly standard Crux affair. But I was mainly looking for anything that stood out as unusual.
Okay, yeah. So you want to focus on Lao and like
Lau
look
and the
up what you can
Reverend,
find about them.
yeah, and the connection to the
Okay.
Reverend as well.
Yeah. Make a notice roll. So this is using the Crux internal database and then any other like planetary like law enforcement whatever stuff you can get a hold
Just
of.
with intelligence, notice with intelligence.
Yeah, notice with intelligence. Yep.
Okay.
You want to like kind of a research roll.
And do I get any additional modifier because of the other?
Yeah, give yourself a plus. Yeah, give yourself a +1 because you've got the extra Crux.
It won't help.
Clearance.
Oh, it did help.
It won't help, will it? All right, so
the dice.
All right, so the pastor's full name is Talat Lao, so TAL''AT. Talat Lao. He is a community leader in the like lower area. He is the pastor for what Berkman calls a parish commune. It's a one of the older parish communes. Talat Lao is the son of a kind of I don't want to say infamous, but like a fairly well-known member of a parish called the Champions of Peace. And Champions of Peace is like an older parish commune, and Talat Lao is the leader of one of these like communes. Mm-hmm. He's a boisterous leader, and all of the information that you can find in public, much like the Reverend, it's not like there's no obvious connection to the People for an Independent Berkman. There's no like terrorism or whatever, but there is a lot of like visiting outlying farms. There is a lot of like speaking at events in favor of euphemistic terms, right? Like independence is sort of a dirty word because it's pretty close to revolution and it's technically treason to talk about being independent from the empire. So that never comes up, but there's a lot of like reaffirming the people of Berkman's self-sufficiency and like, hardworking nature, and we don't need a hand up, and we're dirt scrabble people, and a lot of talk about bootstraps. And like with the 13, you're getting the Crux security commentary on this. That's just like, this person has not committed any official crimes, but they are like they're
on a watch list.
Purveyor of dissident thought, right? A person of interest. And they're very popular. This commune, there's a bunch of transfers, people moving into this parish commune. And it looks like I mean, over the last little while, but these are just people moving, right? People moving into the commune. So there's a little kind of like walled community thing. It's a subsection of the area of Old Antioch that this Talat Lao has holed up in, where his church is, and so people have flocked to him. Not to put too fine a point on it, and he seems to be a slightly anti-imperial of center like public figure in New Antioch. And there's an obvious, like, there's a connection between the Reverend Elder and this Talat Lao. The two of them have met independently and as part of some kind of like recent like relatively recent meeting of like community leaders, right? Commune heads, business leaders, farm representatives, kind of labor folks. And the Reverend is the center. She's always the center of those pieces, but you see Talat Lao in some of these pictures of these groups of people together.
Okay, so I got a visual. I know what they look like, kind of thing. Sort of like pictures.
Yeah, yeah. Talat Lao is a man. He looks to have a similar cast, this kind of like more tan skin look that the people of Berkman seem to have. And yeah, he's in his late 40s, early 50s, and is always surrounded by other people. And these are the kind of people that look like if you needed pictures of like the stalwart farmers or miners or whatever, that kind of person. That's what you see.
And judging by the relationship between him and the Reverend is good. It's like a close, positive relationship, or is it generally quite?
I mean, you see them together in pictures, but it's hard to get a read on their direct relationship without confronting either of them or seeing them together. House Crux is pretty like worn thin here, so they don't really have like a very good intelligence set up on Berkman yet. This is not a planet on which you would find, that kind of thing. They really just have a party, like a presence here.
Okay.
Yeah. So Nomi and Booker, you were talking about getting in touch with the chaplain. Is this where you want to comms to him from where you are, or do you walk in? Is this you coming home?
I don't know. It might make more sense for us to go back.
Yeah. Well, because I'm thinking if we were going to try and go in like slightly undercover, we're not like busting in being like, this is the police, So maybe I don't want to wear.
Okay.
I just want to be more incognito.
Yeah, that's fine.
Has Nomi on mission ever worn anything that was like cruddy clothes? Because I always picture Nomi in like these like perfect.
She tries. Yeah, I think I've tried before. Like when we were on Honglu, I was trying to be like, I'm a mercenary, but she's still kind of a fancy mercenary. So
less
badass leather with like
Well, it was less Mad Max and more like Tech Ninja, right? So
right.
Someday we'll get some kind of scene where Nomi has to wear like a ball gown and everyone will lose it and the fan art will go crazy. I'm waiting. I can't wait for that day. But for now,
trope of like, wow,
right? Yeah, at the top of the stairs and
as old as time.
Yeah, right. Like Belle from Beauty and the Beast, except she'll kill you with a gun.
Yeah,
or her brain.
Or her brain. Yeah.
That would have. If Belle were a psychic assassin, that would have made that movie very different.
And then Booker,
the shit talkers in the village,
with like a tie like this with a whiskey bottle, like
there would have been no talk of Stockholm syndrome if she had been a psychic ninja. That's all I'm saying.
Shows up to rescue her dad, kills beasts with a sniper rifle. Problem solved. So so Nomi and Booker, you return to the embassy then?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Chaplain, you hear the sound of the door opening, the chime of like someone returning to the apartments, and and you hear Nomi and Booker come back.
Cool. Yeah, I'm probably sat there with the intel, probably still just finished going over it.
Okay.
So I'll walk over to the chaplain. Chaplain, I trust you've had a productive day.
Stand up, bow formally to Nomi. Yes, somewhat, little. How about yourselves? Any good information that you've discovered so far?
Yes, we have. Can you tell me about? Do I know where he went? I can't remember if he told us where he went.
I don't think he did. No.
I think he told. Yeah. Okay. I kind of like glance over my shoulder at Booker and I say, yes, we did manage to find some information that might lead us toward finding out more about who is in charge of the PIB. Tell me what you found.
Well, I have found some information about a particular person of interest connected to the local faith groups here on the planet, and I did have a small albeit unproductive, conversation with the Reverend Elder. Perhaps we should have a formal debrief, grab some drinks and some dinner, and we can go over the information. I'm not quite sure where the Amira has been. I have not seen her since I returned to the apartment, I'm afraid.
How long have you been here?
A few hours, perhaps. But I'm not sure.
Have you tried reaching her on the comm?
I'm afraid I have not. I've been so engrossed in this in research that I have not tried. But I did notice that Arnahan is missing, and I'm assuming that they are with the Amira.
You want me to put a ping out to them? See what's going on?
Yes, thank you, Officer Greaves.
We'll do.
He just taps it out, like just sends like a quick like text report in,
Okay.
In terms
So
of
yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
No.
Okay, I was just gonna say. So yeah, Kieran. At some point while you're in the elevator, you'll get that message.
I'll turn to Booker and Nomi, gesture to the kind of data pads and things. Well, I can tell you that the Reverend Elder is particularly well liked amongst the local populace. She seems to be very much involved with the more grassroots community here. She is a well-informed woman. She is aware of my particular skills, and it would not surprise me if she was aware of the rest of you as well. And there's certainly a concern that I got from her that we are here to kick in doors and put bullets in heads as such, a destabilizing force perhaps, despite my attempts to assure her otherwise. Most importantly, I've recently been investigating some individuals. I was concerned about this dinner that is happening in a few days' time, seeing it as potentially it could be a potential target for these terrorists. I asked if there'd been any recent complications. There was one. Pastor Talat Lau seems to be a community leader, was a last-minute addition, a personal invitation by the Reverend Elder herself. Apparently he is a bit of a hothead, and after doing some research, he is under Croc's watch lists. He seems to be, well, if he was connected to the troublemakers, it would not be surprising, which leads me to be concerned that if he is close with the Reverend Elder, something perhaps is going on in the shadows.
You said that he was a last-minute addition at the personal invitation of the Reverend Elder.
Yes. And he, certainly by looking through it, he is a very outspoken individual, which is, yes, not something I was quite expecting. He does not seem like the type of person to bring to a dinner with House Crux and various members of the High Church.
So I throw kind of a quick look at Booker, and then I look back at the chaplain and I say, we have also heard the name Talat Lau. We were able to locate a member of the PIB who was hoping to inform us on their activities as a result of their rising aggression and violent tactics, which they disagree with. But she mentioned that the pastor, Talat Lau, is actually the person who is recruiting people to join the PIB and providing them a space for meetings.
Interesting. This is likely at their commune, Champions of Peace. It's been considerable reports of them increasing in number recently in Old Antioch. Likely these PIB recruitments then. It seems that they've gained significant support. There's a lot of them. This is quite concerning. Perhaps it is me being a little paranoid, but I would not be surprised. It would seem strange if the Reverend Elder did not have some inclination that this Talat Lau was up to something.
Very strange, especially considering the last-minute addition. Essentially,
Indeed.
the Reverend Elder last minute added a known connection to terrorism on this planet to a meeting with the High Church.
And House Crux.
Well, so Booker, there's no reason to believe that the elder knows that Talat Lao has connection to the PIB.
Let me tell you something, Adam. All right.
But yes, but that's certainly yeah, right. You're the space police, and you can jump to any conclusion that feels comfortable for you.
Well,
I just want to make it clear that nothing in the like she may not know.
Yeah. Yes.
She may
Or
not
she
know.
may know, and it doesn't
Well,
matter.
to Booker though, it's a last minute addition. Why is this, very, very important
Yes.
person adding last minute this scrub pastor? That makes no sense. Who has a history of, like you said, has a history of violence.
This is very concerning to me, and both Siris Carr and Agent Graves, I would definitely appreciate your thoughts on the matter for our next steps. The Reverend Elder was assigned as the church representative here on the planet. I truly hope that she is a force for good God's will, but if these people have gotten to her, I'm not quite sure the next steps to take. But we should definitely be cautious. If she is a personal friend of this Lao, either she is connected or us going after this Lao may cause disruptions and aggravate her and cause her to try and impede our investigations if she feels that we do not have enough evidence.
What would she have to gain, the Reverend? What would she have to gain from destabilizing the church? Which
She did not seem to, when I spoke with her, she did not seem to approve of the work with Trilliant, and she is very well loved by the local populace. She referenced things such as working towards them, that certain matters had recently disrupted efforts to get the people of Berkman to resolve their issues. It could be, and this is purely speculation, this could be that she may be reaching out to this Lao as a solution, one that she perhaps does not fully understand the extent to which they are willing to take things, but that is purely a speculation. Yes, all I can say is that it might be that she is unhappy with the church's allegiance with Trilliant, which I can certainly understand some of her concerns with. But yes, I'm not sure. It could be, as you say, that she is uninvolved, and this is simply coincidence, or perhaps Lao's manipulation of her.
Based on your read of talking with her, do you think that she's compromised already, or do you think it's more likely that she's somewhat in the dark?
She appeared to me as an intelligent woman who is well informed about us and our appearance on the planet. I would be surprised if there were things about this Lao that she did not know, or at least did not suspect. The fact that she is willing to invite them to a dinner with House Crux is a concern.
Exactly my thinking. Well, as I see it, you have two options. You can go try to confront the Reverend Elder right now and speak more to them. Maybe not so direct, but get more information and question their decision on this matter, inviting this Pastor Lao after doing some investigation. Surely that's a natural concern we would have. Or we can do as we were planning on doing, which is why we wanted to find you, Chaplain, and visit this pastor's commune. Slightly undercover, but not exactly sure we're going to fit in quite as well, and what really reason we'd have for being there other than perhaps wanting to join the PIB. But in that case, we'd have to pretend like we're among the normal populace here, which I don't think is going to go so well, considering most probably already know our faces if they're aware of our presence here. Making spying around rather difficult.
True. Yes, you are right, of course. It's possible that I could try and speak with this Talat Lao. He clearly knows the Reverend Elder. I am a man of God myself. Perhaps I can approach him from a point of understanding, wanting to hear his concerns. I am not highly ranked in the church. I do not necessarily pose a significant threat on my own, but Or we could, yes, as you say, speak to the Reverend Elder, try and find out why she wanted to invite this Lao to go with us. Tricky one.
So, I mean, so yeah, that's the question, right? Is like there's a bunch of angles you could take on this. Like if you think that the elder is the problem, you can go after her and you can put some pressure on her. But if you're trying to be her friend and she isn't the problem, that's gonna alienate her. If you go after I feel like if you think about it, Lao is the Talat Lao is the safe bet. Because if it ends up like at the very least you have a connection, right, with the PIB. PIB ratted this person out, and Lao is a bit of a firebrand to begin with. So, yeah, I guess that's the question, is just like which of those you want to go after and how you want to do that. So let's take a break here. You think about which one you want to do. When we come back, we'll have the Amira's meeting with the trilliant head of human resources. We'll have the meeting with Mr. Reed, and then you guys can decide how you want to take action. So, all right, cool. Stick around. We got lots more roleplay for Verona right after this. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.